Yo, what is up everyone? Today, we're counting down 45 upcoming games you need to have on your radar. From day one bangers to games that could redefine whole genres, we're covering it all. Let's get into it. Final Fantasy Resonance is a new entry in the legendary Final Fantasy series, bringing the franchise's signature blend of emotional storytelling, expansive worlds, and evolving combat systems to a fresh adventure. Details are still emerging, but the title suggests a story built around connection between characters, between worlds, or between different forces in conflict. Final Fantasy has historically used each numbered entry as a complete tonal and mechanical reinvention, and Resonance appears to continue that tradition. Whether it leans into more classic turn-based systems or expands on the action-oriented direction Final Fantasy has explored recently, the series' pedigree alone makes this one of the most anticipated JRPGs on the horizon. Square Enix's positioning of this title across platforms, including Switch 2, means it's designed to reach the widest possible audience. Splatoon Raiders. Nintendo is doing something genuinely different with Splatoon this time. Instead of the usual competitive multiplayer focus, Splatoon Raiders is the first dedicated single-player spin-off in the franchise's history. You play as the Mechanic, a customizable Inkling who teams up with Deep Cut, the trio of musician characters from Splatoon 3. And the whole crew heads out to the mysterious Spearhalite Islands in search of treasure. The gameplay loop is built around raiding each island, blasting your way through waves of salmonid enemies, using your usual ink-splattering weapons, alongside new mechanical gadgets you can craft and upgrade. One member of Deep Cut always fights alongside you in a massive exploration bot, and you can pull off combo moves with them, boost off the bot for extra height, even ride Big Man as a combat mount. Dragon Quest XII was first announced way back in 2021 under the name The Flames of Fate. We heard almost nothing for 5 years. Then, on Dragon Quest Day 2026, the 40th anniversary of the series, Square Enix finally broke the silence, revealed the game has a brand new subtitle, Beyond Dreams, and confirmed that development had been completely restarted from scratch. The original, darker, more mature direction for the game was scrapped, and the team decided to bring it back closer to what a classic Dragon Quest should feel and look like. What we do know from the reveal is that the story follows a young hero who keeps being haunted by strange visions in their sleep, and the early footage shows a hero, a female companion, and a humanoid dragon character. The turn-based RPG roots seem to be intact, and series creator Yuji Horii is still guiding the vision. Team Ninja doesn't slow down. Hot off shipping Nioh 3 earlier this year, they announced Wolong 2: Wings of Ember at the Xbox Game Showcase 2026. This is the sequel to Wolong Fallen Dynasty, their 2023 action RPG set in a dark fantasy version of Three Kingdoms China, and the follow-up looks bigger in every way. The story picks up in the late Eastern Han period, where chaos and war have torn the land apart, and a nameless champion rises like a phoenix from the ashes to fight across massive battlefields, crawling with demons, warlords, and fearsome creatures. The combat system, which was already built around precise Chinese martial arts, parrying, deflecting, counterattacking, and fast-paced rhythm, has been evolved for this sequel. Early footage hints at air parries, new dodge mechanics that reposition you behind enemies for punishing follow-up hits, and much larger-scale set pieces than the original. RuneScape has been going strong for 25 years as an MMORPG, and now Jagex is trying something completely different. DragonWilds is an open-world survival crafting game that takes place in Gielinor, the same world as RuneScape, but on a continent nobody's explored before, called Ashenfall. Dragons have woken up, wild magic is tearing through the land, and you're thrown into it, solo or with up to 3 friends. The gameplay pulls a lot from the RuneScape DNA you'd expect. You grind and level up skills like woodcutting, crafting, farming, and combat. You brew potions, forge better gear, and build shelters across the map. But the magic system is where it gets interesting. The land itself is soaked in something called anima, a raw magical energy, and you can harness it to cast spells, both in combat and for everyday tasks, like chopping trees instantly or blinking away from danger. Spyro: A Realm Beyond is the first brand new mainline Spyro game in nearly 20 years. The last original entry was 2008, and it's being made by Toys for Bob, the same studio behind the beloved Spyro Reignited trilogy. The story kicks off with Spyro finding himself stranded in a completely unknown realm. And while he's trying to figure out how to get home, a vicious invading force called the Scabs shows up and starts wrecking everything. Spyro has to make new allies and protect this realm before it's permanently changed. The biggest gameplay evolution here is true free flight. Previous games had it gated behind specific levels, but A Realm Beyond is built around it from the ground up. You can dive, climb, chain turns together, weave through environments, and attack from the air in a way the series has never done before. Tom Kenny, who's been voicing Spyro since 1999, is back, and the world looks vibrant and full. Dragon's Dogma 2 launched in 2024 to a strong reception, delivering a massive open-world action RPG experience with the series' beloved pawn system, where you create AI companions that can be shared with other players online. Dark Arisen is the expanded edition, pulling from what the original Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen did for the first game, adding a significant new dungeon area, extra story content, new enemies and gear, balance improvements, and everything the base game had to offer. If you've never played Dragon's Dogma 2, this is the version to jump into. You create your Arisen, the chosen hero, marked by the dragon, and explore a living open world where your choices matter and enemies are large-scale, demanding, and satisfying to fight. The vocation system lets you mix and match different fighting styles, from fighters and archers to mages and the wild mystic spearhand. Fire Emblem is back, and this one feels like Intelligent Systems really listened to what fans loved about Three Houses. Fortune's Weave is set in the Dagdan Empire, a land ruled by gods, and the whole story revolves around a massive tournament called the Heroic Games, where the winner gets one wish granted by the Divine Sovereign. You pick one of 4 playable protagonists, each with their own reason for entering and their own unique ability in battle. Kai, a young kid trying to save his imprisoned father. Dietrich, a stoic swordsman chasing stronger opponents. Theodora, a queen with a long-held dream for her homeland. And Lita, a musician seeking revenge. Between battles, you explore the city of Daxion, recruit allies, train, and prepare. The combat is classic Fire Emblem grid-based tactics, but with a new mechanic called Blaze Arts, powerful moves that cost your own HP to execute, forcing you to play more aggressively and manage your unit health carefully. Hello Kitty Party Land is a party game aimed at bringing the iconic Sanrio universe into a fun, multiplayer setting. Think minigames, colorful stages, and characters from across the Hello Kitty world all competing together. It's built to be accessible and lighthearted, with modes designed for families and groups of friends to enjoy casually, including local multiplayer for parties. The game pulls from the warm and cheerful aesthetic the brand is known for, with stages and game types themed around Hello Kitty's various world settings. It's the kind of pick-up-and-play experience you can hand to anyone, whether they're longtime fans of the Sanrio universe or just looking for something fun to play together. No firm release date has been confirmed yet, but it's on the radar as a Switch title for family game nights. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. From Software took extra time to get the performance right after a delay, and this is the version to play if you somehow missed it. The game drops you into the lands between as the Tarnished, an exiled outcast called back to reclaim the power of the Elden Ring and become Elden Lord. The open world is enormous and filled with legacy dungeons, underground kingdoms, and optional areas that reward exploration. The combat is methodical and punishing in the best way. Every enemy has patterns, every boss is a puzzle you solve with your build, your timing, and your patience. The character building options are massive, from pure melee to sorcery builds to bleed-focused weapons that melt health bars. Shadow of the Erdtree adds a completely new region that's roughly the size of the base game's starting area. If you've never played it, this is your entry point, and it's one of the best there is. Metaphor ReFantazio came out in late 2024 and absolutely blew people away. Developed by the team behind Persona 3 and Persona 5, this is a full-on JRPG set in a fantasy kingdom plunged into crisis after the king's assassination. You play as a young man from a persecuted fantasy race, setting out on a royal election tournament. Anyone can compete to be the next king, and you're going to do exactly that while trying to break a curse that threatens your friend's life. The combat layers real-time action against weaker enemies, with deep turn-based strategic battles against tougher foes, using the archetype system to mix and match job classes for your party across dozens of options. The story tackles heavy themes like discrimination, hope, and what leadership really means, all wrapped in a stunning visual style and an incredible soundtrack by Shoji Meguro. Final Fantasy VII Revelation is the next chapter in the ongoing FF7 remake project from Square Enix. Following the events of Rebirth, the story continues, pushing deeper into the beloved original narrative, while carving its own path with the alternate timeline threads the series has been building since the first remake. Cloud Strife and the crew of Avalanche press further into the world, facing new threats and revisiting iconic locations in spectacular new form. The director confirmed the game is sticking with Unreal Engine 4 for consistency across the trilogy, rather than switching to Unreal Engine 5, and the focus is on delivering the best possible performance and stability. The combat carries forward the hybrid real-time and ATB system from the previous games, and the story scope is expected to be huge. No release date yet, but for fans of the remake project, this is the big one everyone's waiting on. Tales of Eternia, originally from 2000, is one of the most beloved entries in the long-running Tales series, and it's back, in some form, for modern players. The story follows Reed, a young hunter from the village of Rashines who gets caught up in a world-ending crisis when a young woman named Farah and a mysterious girl named Meredy fall from the sky, literally. Meredy is from another world entirely, and the collision of two planets threatens to destroy everything. The gameplay uses the series' traditional linear motion battle system, a real-time side-scrolling combat style where you control one character and the AI or friends handle the others. It's fast, combo-heavy, and satisfying to master. The bond between the main characters drives the whole adventure, and the story has held up incredibly well. Liza P was one of the biggest surprises in recent memory, a Souls-like built around the story of Pinocchio, set in a decaying Belle Epoque city overrun by out-of-control puppets. You play as P, a puppet built by Geppetto, navigating a world where humans desperately need answers about what caused the city of Krat to fall into chaos. The combat is refined and demanding, with a signature mechanic where you can partially block attacks to regain lost HP called the Guard Regain system, which rewards aggressive, risky play over pure defensive turtling. The weapon system lets you mix and match blades and handles from different weapons to build your perfect tool, adding real depth to how you approach each encounter. The story peels back layers slowly and rewards players who pay attention to the environments and NPCs. Onimusha is back after a very long time away. Way of the Sword marks the return of Capcom's beloved samurai action series set in Sengoku-era Japan, a period of constant war, political turmoil, and, in the Onimusha universe, demonic invasion. You play as a new protagonist wielding the Oni Gauntlet, the series' iconic weapon that lets you absorb the souls of slain demons to power up your abilities and weapons. The combat is fast, sword-heavy, and deeply satisfying, with tight timing windows for parrying and countering enemy strikes. The visual style leans into a dark, cinematic interpretation of feudal Japan, and the atmosphere is dense with folklore and horror. For veterans of the series, it's a return to what made the original PS2 games so compelling. For newcomers, it's an excellent entry point into one of Capcom's most underrated franchises. Keep an eye on this one for 2026. Wandering Sword is a Chinese martial arts RPG that originally launched on PC in 2023 and built a dedicated fanbase thanks to its incredibly deep systems and traditional wuxia storytelling. You play as Yuan Yi, a young swordsman who barely survives a massacre and sets out on a journey across ancient China to grow stronger and uncover the truth behind what happened to him. The world is built around wuxia tropes, traveling between sects, learning martial arts techniques from masters, managing complex relationships with over 30 recruitable companions who each have their own stories and opinions. The combat mixes turn-based tactical grid positioning with a deep technique system where you can learn and combine hundreds of different moves, creating your own combat style. The pixel art visuals are gorgeous and detailed. The Duskbloods is a brand new IP and the most ambitious From Software project to date, and it's a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. The game is set at the literal end of humanity, where a power called the First Blood flows and draws supernatural beings, called the Bloodsworn, to compete across converging points in time and space. You choose from over a dozen Bloodsworn characters, each with unique weapons, gothic abilities, and vampire-inspired designs, and drop into online battles for up to 8 players mixing PvP-VE combat. Form temporary alliances, betray rivals, and fight both other players and waves of brutal enemies all at once. Despite the online focus, the game supports solo play as well. The Victorian and Gothic aesthetic is stunning, and the lore drips with From Software's signature mysterious world-building. A closed network test is coming later this summer before the full 2026 launch. Modern Warfare 4 continues Activision's long-running military shooter franchise and is expected to land on Switch 2 as part of the broader multi-platform push following Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. The Modern Warfare subseries is known for its cinematic, grounded military storytelling and tight gunplay. Each entry focuses on a globe-spanning conflict, where special operations units operate in high-stakes environments against sophisticated threats. The multiplayer has always been the heartbeat of Modern Warfare titles. Fast-paced gunfights, deep weapon customization, and a constant stream of modes and maps keep the community going for years. Call of Duty landing on a Nintendo platform with full support would be a massive deal for Switch 2's library, putting one of gaming's biggest franchises in the hands of a new audience. Lara Croft is back in Legacy of Atlantis, a new entry in the Tomb Raider series, picking up threads from the classic era of the franchise. Lara sets out once more into the world's most dangerous ancient sites, this time chasing the myth of Atlantis, a civilization so advanced that the truth of what it was might be more terrifying than the legend. The gameplay balances exploration, puzzle solving, and combat in the way the series built its reputation on, navigating elaborate tombs, deciphering environmental puzzles, and handling threats with a mix of stealth and action. Lara's movement set is fluid and expressive, letting you scale, grapple, and traverse dangerous terrain with momentum-based platforming that feels great in motion. The Atlantis setting opens up room for spectacular environments, ranging from sunken ruins to lost temples. Rayman Legends from 2013 is genuinely one of the best 2D platformers ever made, and Retold is a full reimagining of it, built specifically for Switch 2. Nintendo's Direct revealed this isn't just a port, it adds full 3D visuals, an immersive new story, a mysterious sixth realm, a new villain, voiced cinematics, an expanded musical score, and new gameplay elements layered on top of what was already a brilliant game. The original Legends was already legendary for its musical level stages, designed around the beat of specific songs, where everything in the level reacts to the music in real time, and Retold expands on that foundation. Up to 4 players can play together in co-op, jumping, punching, and gliding through creative, colorful stages. The level design in the original rewarded mastery and quick thinking, and Retold builds on all of that with fresh content. Monster Hunter Wilds launched in early 2025 and shattered records, becoming one of Capcom's best-selling games ever. The big question for Switch 2 owners has been when or if they'll get a version, and it's looking likely. Wilds is set in the Forbidden Lands, a sprawling, living ecosystem where ecosystems shift based on climate cycles and the behavior of the monsters that inhabit them. You're a hunter sent into this territory to understand why these natural cycles are going wrong, and the story unfolds through some of the most dramatic, cinematic monster encounters the series has ever staged. The hunting loop is deep and endlessly engaging. Track monsters by following clues in the environment, study their behavior, prepare the right gear and consumables, then engage in a battle that can last anywhere from a few minutes to a tense 20-minute fight. The Atelier series has been going strong for over 2 decades, and Karia is the newest chapter in Gust's beloved crafting RPG franchise. Like all Atelier games, the heart of the experience is alchemy, gathering materials, discovering recipes, and synthesizing items that drive both your personal progression and the story forward. Karia is a young alchemist, navigating a world described as a night kingdom, a land shrouded in mystery and memory. And the Guide of Memories mechanic seems tied to uncovering forgotten histories embedded in the world itself. The series has always balanced character-driven storytelling with relaxed, satisfying crafting systems that feel rewarding to dig into. Combat uses the turn-based system the series evolved, with entries like Ryza, mixing positioning and party combos. For JRPG fans who love a good crafting loop alongside a warm, character-focused narrative, Atelier Karia looks like another entry in a franchise that consistently delivers quality. No Rest for the Wicked is an action RPG from Moon Studios, the developers of Ori and the Blind Forest, and it's genuinely unlike anything else in the genre right now. Set in a plague-ravaged world ruled by a dying king, you arrive as a Surim warrior, a holy warrior immune to the plague, and things immediately get much more complicated than that framing suggests. The gameplay is top-down isometric, but with an incredible attention to the physicality of every swing and every step. Combat feels weighty and deliberate, demanding timing and careful positioning rather than button mashing. The world is dense with handcrafted environments that reward exploration, and the loot system pulls inspiration from action RPGs while keeping things grounded. The crafting and gear systems are deep, and the movement across the game's environments has a fluidity that makes traversal enjoyable on its own. Moonlight Peaks is a cozy life simulation game with a supernatural twist. You move to a mysterious mountain town and slowly discover that your new neighbors aren't exactly ordinary humans. The community is full of friendly monsters, vampires, werewolves, and all kinds of supernatural beings, just living their lives. The game layers the classic life sim loop: farming, crafting, building your home, talking to townsfolk, forming relationships, with the unique hook of navigating a community of creatures that have their own folklore, quirks, and needs. Some mechanics are designed around the supernatural nature of your neighbors, like helping a vampire with their sunlight sensitivity, or assisting a ghost with unfinished business. The art style is warm and charming, despite the spooky theming, making it accessible and inviting. The original Alien Isolation from 2014 is one of the best survival horror games ever made, and a sequel has been long anticipated. If Isolation 2 continues what that game started, Players are in for an experience where the fear is real, and the alien is terrifyingly smart. The first game followed Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ellen Ripley, trapped on a space station with a single xenomorph that couldn't be killed, only survived. The sequel is expected to expand on Amanda's story, further into the alien universe. The tension and isolation came from the alien's dynamic AI, which learned your habits and hunted you down relentlessly, forcing you to hide, distract, and crawl through air ducts with your heart pounding. The sound design, atmosphere, and commitment to the visual style of the original Alien film were exceptional. A sequel landing on Switch 2 would be a massive deal for horror fans, and players who want a game that genuinely makes them nervous to turn a corner. Sacrifire is a JRPG developed by Joanna King, the artist behind some of the gorgeous character art in Fellseal Arbiter's Mark, and it's building a strong reputation in the indie space. The game blends tactical turn-based combat with a story centered on dark themes of sacrifice, morality, and consequence. You follow characters navigating a world where terrible choices are sometimes the only choices, and the narrative doesn't shy away from the weight of those decisions. The combat system involves special sacrifice mechanics, spending resources tied to your character's well-being to unleash powerful abilities, adding a layer of risk-reward tension to every battle. The visuals are handcrafted and beautiful, with character art and environments that feel alive and thoughtfully designed. For fans of old-school JRPGs who want something that takes its storytelling seriously, Sacrifire is one of those indie gems that punches well above its size. Generation 10 is finally here. Announced on Pokémon's 30th anniversary on February 27th, 2026, Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves are the next big mainline games. The setting is a tropical archipelago inspired by Southeast Asia, featuring beautiful wind-swept islands, dense jungles, volcanic terrain, and an expansive ocean with fully explorable underwater areas, a first for the mainline series. The region is open world, and the Pokémon that live here have developed unique ecosystems shaped by the environment. Your three starter options are Brout, the grass-type bean chick, Pombone, the fire type, and Gekwa, the water type. The story involves teaming up with Pokémon to take on forces of nature that block your path, and the overall tone looks lush and adventurous. Gen 10, coming to Switch 2 with upgraded visuals and all the hardware power behind it, has fans incredibly excited. Release is set for 2027. Nintendo Switch Sports Resort is the next evolution of the wildly successful Wii Sports and Switch Sports formula, and it's bringing back the beloved resort theme of Wii Sports Resort with brand new activities and controls enhanced by the Joy-Con 2. The original Wii Sports Resort was iconic for introducing Motion Plus controls, and Switch Sports Resort is doing something similar by showcasing the new Joy-Con 2 capabilities, including mouse mode inputs and more precise gyro tracking. Sports and activities confirmed so far include 100 pin bowling, alongside returning and brand new additions. The game is built to be instantly accessible and a ton of fun in living rooms with family and friends. The kind of experience that made the Wii a cultural phenomenon. Expect the signature Woohoo Island setting, a variety of sports and mini-activities, and online play. Stellar Blade launched on PS5 in 2024 and became one of Shift Up's biggest successes, and now it's coming to Switch 2. You play as Eve, an elite warrior who descends to Earth from an orbital colony to reclaim the planet from mysterious creatures called the Nightibas that have wiped out most of humanity. The world is post-apocalyptic and hauntingly beautiful. Ruined cities, isolated survivors, and creatures that feel genuinely alien and threatening. The combat is what really elevates the game. It's stylish and demanding, built around a parry and counter system that rewards learning enemy patterns with devastating riposts. And Eve's skill tree and gear system give you a lot of room to develop your own combat style over time. The story unfolds slowly and has some genuinely surprising turns about the nature of the Nightibas and humanity's history. A brand new Xenoblade Chronicles game is coming, and it's called Xenoblade Genesis. It's positioned as a new beginning for the series, rather than a continuation of the existing Chronicles timeline, suggesting a fresh world, new characters, and a new story built from the ground up for Switch 2. The Xenoblade series has been one of Nintendo's most ambitious RPG franchises, known for enormous open worlds with layered ecosystems, real-time party combat, and stories that deal with themes like fate, free will, and the nature of life itself in ways that hit harder than most games manage. Genesis carries that same DNA forward. Details are still limited. Nintendo confirmed it for 2027 during the June Direct and said more information is coming, but the name alone signals an ambitious new chapter. This is one for the RPG fans to watch very closely over the next year.
Dragon Quest Monsters is back,
And the Withered world takes the monster-collecting spin-off series into a new and intriguing setting. Like previous entries in the DQM franchise, the gameplay centers on capturing, raising, and breeding monsters, including many iconic creatures from the wider Dragon Quest universe, and building the perfect team by combining monsters to inherit and evolve their abilities. The breeding system in Dragon Quest Monsters has always been one of the deepest monster collection systems in gaming, allowing for nearly endless combinations and stat inheritance strategies. The Withered world setting suggests a darker environmental theme, a world that has lost something vital and promises new monsters, environments, and challenges to take on. Resident Evil Code Veronica, originally from 2000, finally gets the full remake treatment. Capcom dropped the reveal at Summer Game Fest 2026, and immediately the internet went wild. The story follows Claire Redfield 3 months after the destruction of Raccoon City, as she's captured and sent to a remote prison island called Rockfort Island, run by the twisted Ashford family. Her brother Chris eventually joins the fight. The remake keeps the core of the original story, while restructuring and expanding it with modern storytelling and upgraded cinematics. Capcom says there will be a bigger focus on the people who lived on Rockfort Island before the outbreak hit, giving the environment a lot more depth. The gameplay takes clear inspiration from the RE2 and RE4 remakes, tight, over-the-shoulder survival horror with resource management, tense exploration, and that constant pressure of never quite having enough ammo. Trails in the Sky second chapter brings the fan-favorite Sky arc back in remake form. Originally released in 2004 in Japan, Trails in the Sky FC and SC told the story of Estelle and Joshua Bright, a pair of bracer agents, a kind of traveling police and adventurers guild, uncovering a massive conspiracy that threatens the kingdom of Liberel. Second chapter is specifically the SC remake, the second half of that story, which is where the emotional payoff of everything built in the first game lands hard. The remake modernizes the visuals, voice acting, and quality of life features while preserving the beloved turn-based combat and the rich, dialogue-heavy world building the series is famous for. If you've never experienced the Trails universe, this is one of gaming's great narrative RPG sagas, and a September 17th release means it lands the same week as Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. What a week that's gonna be! Lords of the Fallen 2 is the follow-up to the 2023 Souls-like that impressed people with its dual world mechanic. You could shift between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead, called Umbral, at any moment, turning exploration and combat into a constant, layered experience. The sequel picks up the threads of that world, and presumably expands on what made the first game interesting. The original had you playing as a dark crusader, in a world where a defeated demon god was threatening to return, and the Umbral mechanic added real strategic depth. You could use it to find secret paths, linger after death to try and recover, and fight enemies that existed only in one realm or the other. If the sequel refines and expands those mechanics, it has the foundation for something really special. Muramasa the Demon Blade is a cult classic 2D action RPG that originally launched on Wii in 2009, and Revenant Blades looks to bring that beloved experience back. The original game was visually stunning, hand-painted art inspired by traditional Japanese woodblock printing that still looks incredible today, with fast, kinetic sword combat built around equipping and switching between legendary demon blades. You played as two characters with separate storylines set in feudal Japan, a ninja boy named Kisuke and a princess named Momohime, each uncovering a conspiracy tied to cursed swords, gods, and demons. The swordplay was satisfying and immediately readable, with combos that flowed naturally and boss encounters that were genuinely memorable. Whether Revenant Blades is a remaster, expanded port, or something new built on that foundation, the visual style and combat DNA of the original make it one of the most beautiful action games in the genre. Castlevania is one of gaming's most iconic franchises, and Belmont's Curse marks its long-awaited return. The Belmont family has been battling Dracula and the forces of darkness across centuries, and this entry picks up that legacy with a new chapter in the ongoing war between humanity and the night. Classic Castlevania mechanics are expected to be front and center: the iconic whip-based combat of the Belmont lineage, gothic castle exploration full of secrets and shortcuts, punishing but fair enemy encounters, and the rich horror atmosphere the series built its reputation on. Whether it leans into the linear action of the classic series or the exploration-heavy Metroidvania style of Symphony of the Night and its successors, a new Castlevania is genuinely exciting news. The franchise has been dormant for years as a mainline entry, and there's a massive audience waiting to see what comes next. Orbitals is a new game from Nintendo themselves, and the core idea is built around a gravity and orbit-based gameplay system, where you launch, arc, and control objects across planetary environments using orbital physics. The game has a colorful, playful aesthetic and seems designed around creative problem-solving, competitive multiplayer, and a sandbox quality that lets you experiment with how objects behave under different gravitational conditions. Nintendo has a history of building entire games around a single, brilliant mechanical concept. Think Pikmin or Nintendo Labo, and Orbitals seems to be following that same design philosophy. Whether it ends up as a puzzle game, a competitive multiplayer experience, or something in between, the concept is genuinely interesting, and Nintendo's execution on this type of project is usually excellent. Oblivion Remastered launched in early 2025 and was genuinely one of the year's biggest surprises. A full visual overhaul of the 2006 classic, built in Unreal Engine 5, released with almost no prior announcement, and it's absolutely great. The game takes you back to Cyrodiil, the heartland of the Tamriel continent, as a prisoner who escapes during a crisis. The Emperor has been assassinated, and his heir must be protected, while the gates of Oblivion open across the land. The open world is enormous and packed with handcrafted quests, faction storylines, and locations that reward wandering. The remaster keeps the soul of the original, the systems, the quests, the characters, while completely rebuilding the visuals and modernizing the quality of life. The Oblivion of 2006 was one of the generation-defining RPGs of its time, and experiencing it at this visual fidelity on Switch 2 is something genuinely special for both old fans and new players. Kingdom Hearts 4 is finally real, and it's coming to Switch 2 day one, the first time a mainline Kingdom Hearts game has ever launched natively on a Nintendo platform. The story picks up after Kingdom Hearts 3 and Melody of Memory, with Sora finding himself trapped in Quadratum, a massive, realistic city inspired by Tokyo's Shibuya and Minami Aoyama districts. Donald and Goofy are searching for him, while Sora navigates this new world, meets new characters, and awakens new powers in what Square Enix is calling the start of the Lost Master story arc. The gameplay trailer shown at the June 2026 Nintendo Direct showed Sora fighting Heartless in a modern urban environment. It looks spectacular, with parkour elements, Keyblade transformations, a grappling hook mode, and reaction commands returning from KH2. A new scrap and build mechanic suggests more creative combat options. One of the most beloved games ever made is being reborn on Switch 2. Ocarina of Time, the 1998 Nintendo 64 landmark, is getting a full remake exclusive to the new system. And even from the brief teaser shown at the June 2026 Nintendo Direct, the emotion is immediately there. Young Link sleeping in the Kokiri Forest, the Triforce glowing on his hand, a golden logo. The original Ocarina of Time is the adventure of Link being awakened by a fairy named Navi, leaving his forest home and embarking on a journey across Hyrule that spans years and the fate of the entire world. It redefined 3D action-adventure games and set standards that are still referenced today. The remake features updated character and weapon designs, consistent with the Skyward Sword era's visual language, and the Master Sword and Hylian Shield have been refreshed. Whether you're a Day 1 Switch 2 owner or you're still rocking the original, the lineup is stacked. Drop a comment down below and let me know which game you're most hyped for. If this video helped you find something new to look forward to, hit that like button. It really does help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.